Hi, this is a tutorial on how to install an ultralight rolling shutter. Alex and Jeanette here are going to install this for you, making sure that you have the crate unpacked and all of the parts and pieces laid out in front of you so they're easily accessible. First of all, we're going to mount the left guide rail. We're going to line up the outside of the guide rail with the outside of the frame, and we're going to line up the bottom of the guide rail with the bottom of the frame. The guide rail will come pre-drilled with mounting holes if you request them. The topmost hole is for fixing the leg of the end cap once it's dropped in. So you see Alex is just going to show you where that is and then drop one down. He's going to fasten the guide rail to the frame. When you're fastening the guide rail to the frame, make sure to only do a couple. This way, if you do need to make minor adjustments later, you don't have to remove all of the fasteners. You can just loosen the top and the bottom one and make your small adjustment and then retighten them. So he's going to go to the bottom and fasten the bottom of the guide rail to the frame. And these dimensions were outside to outside. So when you are lining up your guide rails, if you did the outside guide rail to outside guide rail, just line it up to where your measurement was. And they're going to go for the the right guide rail. Same procedure, line it up with the outside of the frame, and then line up the bottom of the guide rail with the bottom of the frame. And when you're fastening the guide rail to the frame, always use a level, and then fasten the second hole down, and the bottom of the guide rail as well. So he's going to the second pre-drilled hole, fasten the guide rail to the frame. And the reason why it was done with outside to outside dimensions is because you can see the conduit and the power boxes. We just didn't want to make sure we ran into measurement issues. So use a level after each fastener. And then just make sure that the top of your guide rails are level. And it looks like they are. Good to go. This way you don't have one guide rail that sits above another, causing your curtain to be slanted when it drops down. You will have operational issues if that's the case. So Alex is going to fasten the bottom of the right guide rail, and then they're going to go ahead and pull up the sill. Before they do that though, we're going to mount the hood. The guide, this is a motorized shutter, so the motor lead is coming out of the bottom, which you can see there, that's the leg of the end cap, and they're just going to feed that through the outer channel of the guide rail. So when you are building the shutter, you can have the lead exit the back, top, or front of the panel. In this case, just because you can see the outlet on your bottom left, we're going to feed it through the bottom of the guide rail, fix a NEMA adapter onto the end of it, and then plug it in there. With all of our Somfy RTS motors, you can order them with the wall outlet plugs pre-attached in 6, 12, or 24 foot lengths. So drop the legs of the end caps into the channel in the guide rail, and then the bottom bar that's hanging down with the protective foil, just make sure that's guided into the channel of the guide rail. Put some downward force on the hood, making sure it falls into place. And this is where you would fasten the guide rail to the leg that dropped in through that very top pre-drilled mounting hole. So at this stage, we're going to grab the bottom sill, which is a U channel, and we're just going to flip it around. There we go. And if your guide rails are straight, this should fit quite snug in between them. Always use a level, making sure it's straight. It does look like on the right side there's a bit of a gap. So at this stage, when using the level, again, they notice that the right guide rail is slightly off. The left guide rail looks good. So we're going to fix the sill on the left side, making it flush with the left guide rail. And once they finish that, we'll go over to the right guide rail And this is where you can loosen the bottom screw that is fastening the guide rail to the frame. Just loosen it a little, make a small adjustment. And this way the top will stay in position. The bottom you can shift over just slightly, putting it back into level, and then refasten it to the frame. Once you've refastened it, you can then fasten the far outside of the sill. Double check application, making sure that everything is level. Check operation. You can check your installation instructions for your Somfy programming guide. You can find it online at ultraliteshutters.ca. Make sure to clean up the work area, allow the customer to remove the protective foil, and then give the customer operational instructions. Thanks for watching.